confusing people is you're so used to taking a math class where you have to either, like you did like Math 95 or Math 65 here, where you have to do certify and things like that. This is not a computer-based math class, and it can't be. You'll see why the more and more we go through this course. There's way too many questions where I ask you why. Why? What do you think? What do you think? And there's no template I can use for an answer for that. So I can't just have you like pick a checkbox. Is it 0.2? Is it 0.3? Is it 0.4? That won't work. Because depending on how you did the answer, it might be all of those or none of those. So that's why I have to see you submit stuff non-electronically. For now, I'm working on a better system. But let me just go real quick to the schedule page.
That's Math 243.
It doesn't matter, same schedule page. Thank you, Frank. So here's your schedule page, and let's just look at this week's stuff. So here we are this week, week 2. So here you guys are, and this is what we did on Monday. I just put, on Monday, we finished up grade. And if you click on that, it pops open the little PowerPoint that came with the grade day. Although we didn't use some of it yesterday because we were stuck out in the hallway, but we made that work. What that means is, whenever we finish up a thing, and for a while I'm probably going to put a block of text like this on there. At this point, you're going to have quizzes. One of them's due today. There's a quiz on grade right there. And some of you, I'm sure, probably turned it in today on Wednesday's class. I also put a quiz on grade for next week. And walking down from my last class, I thought of a great one to put for next week as well, or maybe the week after. So you'll see me post a whole bunch of quizzes. Sometimes you'll have 2, 3, maybe 4 quizzes posted on any given day. Does that mean you have to do all of them?
No.
No, that's the takeaway. How many quizzes do you have to do? By when?
By the end of the term.
By the end of the term, right? So if I post 4 quizzes on any given day, and you're cursing me, and you make a little voodoo doll, and you're poking me at home with pins, I will be hurt. Because you don't have to do any of them necessarily. Now, if it comes down to week 10, and you've done 6, and there are 4 quizzes posted, make a pot of coffee. Because you're going to need to get them all in. But chances are you won't have to do that. Because how many of you have done, how many quizzes have some of you guys done now and turned in? Not having graded, I have something to give back to you, which I will do momentarily. 3, I'm guessing 3, maybe 2? Yeah. So if you've done 3 or 4, you're almost halfway done with your quiz allotment 2 weeks into the course. Does this mean you have to stop after turning 10 in? No. You do not have to stop. You can turn in as many as you want. You can turn in every single one of them. What I've noticed with a lot of students, this is just anecdotally, I never studied this rigorously statistically, most of my students turn in most of the quizzes offered. So in the past, all quizzes were optional. All of them were optional. But students figured out pretty quickly they're great things to submit. They're great little quick assessments. Kind of like your certify was in Math 95 or Math 60 or Math 65. Little constant here, turn it in, turn it back, turn it in, turn it back. So when people ask, do I have to do homework? Do as much or as little of the homework, which is on the homework pages. The homework's up here. The homework's up here. Homework sheet, Math 105 homework sheet. If you click on that, there's a homework assignment tied to every assessment. Crap, I was supposed to pull this one off. We actually skipped this topic altogether. It didn't work. I tried it last term, it didn't work at all. So anyway, there's the grade homework. So if you wanted to try some grade practice, stuff like we were doing in class on, today's Wednesday, right? On Monday, you just click on that bad boy. And it'll take you into a page of a bunch of grade problems. They're all, nothing from the textbook in this one, because grade isn't a topic he covers in that book. So, but here you go, you click on this bad boy, it's a PDF, look at that. If a road rises 200 feet over 2 miles of run, what's its grade? From the very, very basic, like that, to the slightly more complex, like this. This is a hill workout I do on Aubrey Butte. So it's all grade though. It's all grade. It's related to Katie's question about Burma Road. It's very, very similar to that. Very, very similar to that. So yeah, it's great. It's great stuff.
And the answers are on it, so we don't.
The answers are on it. If you look at the bottom, see each of these has an E. This is like E11, E12, E13. The E just means they're extra problems. For some reason, I called them E back in the day. Extra problems I've made up. If you scroll down to the bottom, there's Nicolas Cage, which is I had to use the ideas we used in class to make a flyer for a show that my band played over the weekend, or over the last summer. I wanted to use the Raising Arizona still shot, and I wanted, because I'm a huge Raising Arizona fan, and I wanted to put the bands, but the problem was Nick Cage was tilting the sign a little bit, right? He's tilting the sign a little bit. It's not just laying there, not just holding these little swashbuckling young man. It's amazing how young he looks. And I had to take the graphic and tilt it the right amount. I mean, look at the hair, it's wonderful. I love that dude. Oh! But then I had to tilt the sign. Right? I had to tilt the sign. I didn't know how much to tilt it, so down here it kind of walks you through how you can use grade to approximate how much to tilt it in the computer program. So trying to give you guys as many possible applications as I can as to why you might want to care about this stuff. I mean, one thing I haven't heard a student ask in 10 years, and I encourage you to ask it when you find the need, is when can I use this or how can I use it? I'm going to try to show you how you use it every chance I get. But this is just one more way of how I got to use it this past summer. So anyway, go down far enough, and look, there's your answers. There's your answers. And some of them are pretty, you know, excessive. That's how to use your TI to do angles, do angle approximation. If your grade is 1/12, the angle's 4.97, almost 5 degrees. So all kinds of things like that. So, but you don't have to turn any of this stuff in. This is just a resource. Essentially what this is another part of your textbook that I'm slowly putting together over time that eventually will be fused with Larson's textbook. So you guys are part of that growing process. So do as much or as little of this as you have to. You might not do any of it. It's totally fine too. If everything we did in class makes perfect sense, you don't need to do this necessarily. But it's just more. It's just more stuff. More stuff. The stuff that you're going to have to eventually turn in, though, is back here on the schedule page. Week 2, for example. So here's a couple quizzes. The prereq quiz, and then a quiz on grade. Next week I slapped up another grade quiz right there. I thought of a fun one. As I said, walking down here, I'll slap that one up sometime in week 4. So the idea is, you know, if you like grade, if it's something that makes sense to you, you might want to do more of those quizzes. Maybe there's a topic down the road like exponential regression that you're like, I can live without this. Well, you can live without it to some degree. At some point, you're going to have to do an exam, one of those out-of-class exams, and there'll be some of that on the exam. So you're going to have to do it. But if you like grade more, you could do more grade quizzes than exponential regression quizzes. So you can kind of weight what you do in the class. Your choice. Your choice. You're going to get a little bit of everything anyway. I mean, you're in class, you have the exams to do, you have the projects to do, you're getting all that stuff anyway. But the quizzes are kind of your customizable experience for the class. Pick and choose what you want to do. You can do them all, like I said, or most of them, like I said. But don't feel the need to do them all. And by all means, the homework is for you. The homework, did I tell you guys the analogy to my drumming? My homework is to my drumming? I don't know if I told you this or not. So I took drum lessons for like 4 years. I've been playing drums for 30 years, but I took drum lessons in the beginning. And the way my drum lessons would work, I'd go to Claymont, to Bob Brown's house, his basement. Musty basement, drum sets everywhere. And he'd sit down, and he had this book, Ted Reed's Syncopation, great book. And he would write a bunch of stuff in the Ted Reed book. He'd send me home with like 15, 20 pages of stuff to practice. So I'd go home that week, and whenever I had a chance at night, I'd practice the drums, headphones on, play along with Metallica, and then practice my Ted Reed Syncopation. And then I'd go back to the lesson the next week, and Bob would sit down, open up the 20 pages, and he'd go, try that, try that, try that. And I would play that, and that. And he'd be like, cool, you got it, and then we move on to something else. You see the analogy? The homework sheet is like the 20 pages of stuff he gives me every week to practice. Okay? He doesn't know if I actually practiced all 20 pages or not. He has no idea. Now, I did, because I was a geek, and I was totally all about it. But he has no idea if I actually played all 20 pages of those exercises or not. What was the only exposure he had to what I could do?
Random sample.
That random sample, which is indicative of your quizzes. Those quizzes are, Bob, go and play that, play that, play that. So you submit that, you submit that. The difference, of course, is you work on quizzes outside of class, whereas he had me on the spot, in the hot seat, so to speak, playing. I had to be, boom, ready to go without practice. The idea was I'd already practiced. Well, I don't want you to have that situation here. I want you guys to have the time to use resources, use the homework if you need to. Does that make more sense as far as when things are due and what's... And I apologize, like I said, if anybody sent me emails about this, I want to make a video to accompany. I learned from hearing your guys. It's a weird grading system. It's not weird. It's a different grading system. It's unique in that I don't think anyone else does it this way. But I think it's a good model for it because it allows you to somewhat customize your experience in here, which I think is a good thing. I think it's a good thing. Please, Tom, go.
Do the exercises in class or quizzes in class count as part of the 10?
They do. They count as part of your 10. So that quiz, I didn't get them graded yet. The quiz you guys turned in last class will count as one of your 10 mandatories. That's why it's so nice to have them in class. I don't have one for this topic we're about to do right now, but I do have one for when we go outside and measure me going down the hill on my bike. And I'll have as many as I possibly can in class. You probably end up having about 5 or 6 in class potentials, which also then minimizes how many you have to do outside of class. And some people learn better that way. They learn better doing the assessments while they're learning about it versus a week later or 2 weeks later. I'm trying to match as many different learning styles as I can by offering the different possibilities. But yeah, they for sure do. They for sure do. Please, Frankie.
The exams, or we work on those out of?
Everything's out of class. Yep. And they're going to be, that's where you can't pick and choose the topics. You're going to have a little bit of every topic in there. So even if you don't like the exponential rate quizzes, you're going to have the exponential rate on the exam. But yeah, for sure. Is it Michelle?
Kelly.
Michelle, Kelly, go.
Close enough.
Nah, ish.
Yeah.
Got L's.
So even though it says when a quiz is due, it doesn't really matter as long as we're in by the end of the
Yes,
class.
so there's a quiz due, like for example, these quizzes were due today. Some of you may have turned them in last class, and that's fine. You just can't turn them in later.
Right.
These quizzes, their due dates are today. If you miss these, grab the next ones. Yeah, I have to have due dates, because we have to have the times when certain things come in.
And right then previously.
Oh, there we go. So
It
these
doesn't matter.
two are now turned in. We can't turn these in anymore. But the ones next week, by all means, you can turn them in tomorrow if you want. If you happen to be by the office at Grandview, you can turn it in right then. Please, tell me your name.
Justine,
Justine, go.
if we miss a quiz, but we still want to try it, is there any way to get the answers?
If like you get sick or something,
Yeah.
that's happened a couple times already. Just email me and scan it and send it to me, but just let me know you're going to do that.
Okay,
Yeah, just let me know before the due date again.
okay.
So if you get, like this happened to a couple people already this term, they got sick, they couldn't make the class, and they took a picture of it and scanned it in and sent it to me. I don't mind that. I know it says I don't usually accept email assignments, usually. But if you get sick and you've already submitted work, or you've already done work and you want to submit it, of course I'll let you do that, because I want to see what you did. So by all means, just let me know. Don't bring this quiz next class and expect me to take it, because I'm like, well, it's past due.
No, I mean even if we don't want
No.
credit for it, just the answer.
Oh, you can. Just grab me after class and we'll chit-chat about it, for
Okay.
sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll probably have to sit down and work the answers with you, because the quizzes change constantly, and I usually don't work them. I let you guys work them, and then we work together if we need to. So, by all means, yeah, we can totally do that, for sure. Good questions. Any other ones, assessment-wise? I'm going to shut the camera down momentarily. I got some stuff to return to you guys, and then we'll get into some new stuff. It was recording, right? Yes.